Amanda.
Hi.
How in the world are you?
You know what? I have something to admit.
Great.
A little behind the curtain here.
Okay.
We are on epi 6.
6. Yep.
Okay. For the first 5 eps, I've put 2% thought into what I physically look like.
Okay. Great.
And now epi 6 is being recorded, and epi 1 and 2 have been released to the public, and I'm seeing my face on Reels, and I'm happy with what it looks like.
Okay.
But more like my hair, I was like, oh, ooh. So today, as in, like 10 minutes ago, I was like, oh, hey, maybe drop the messy bun you've been rocking since last night.
Yeah.
And put a brush through your hair. So
okay.
I did.
This is great. Well, actually, my opening real question, besides just hi, how are you, is, we went live on the Instagram machine, but then also our pod is live to the world, and we have, I know, our pilot and who are heroes, and episode 2, our hot takes, is out, and I just wanted to give you a little update. As of today, we've had 111 streams.
Wow!
And I was like, that's so cool, because I thought 10 would be
I know.
tops. But my question for you is, what has been your relationship with that since it, streamed and debuted? How have you been feeling? And or anything lumped in with the Instagram presence, all that kind of stuff, the back and forth?
Well, I feel like our answers will be different. I feel great. I think you're going to feel great too, but you definitely are the workhorse and engine behind all of this. So for me, I was like, oh, this is cool. And I've gotten a few messages from friends who said they've listened or even possibly referenced something, made a joke about my cinnamon zucchini bread. Shout out to my one friend. She knows who she is.
Great.
So that's been cool because it's like, oh, no way. You really, really listened. And I've even gotten a few, suggestions for possibly things we could talk about, which is cool.
Yeah. But that's great.
That's really it. My life has not changed much. And I still, I'm still limiting my social media to my 35 minutes in the evening. So for me, it doesn't really change much. But I'll be honest in that my work with this podcast is I show up. Yeah. It's a very unbalanced relationship in that way.
Well, I see what you're saying, but, Amy Poehler just shows up to hers, all right? Because she's the talent.
Sure.
So, I mean, you know what I mean?
I cannot be compared.
I'm just saying.
You are absolutely you are the creative engine and workhorse of this podcast. So we would not have any engagement or anything.
Just to get it posted was wild. Yeah, my relationship with it hasn't been bad per se, but Friday I wanted to throw my phone just out the window. Sure. But it was only because I felt like I had just been on Instagram trying to figure out a few reels. I'm like, oh, this overlay would be cool. This would be cool. And you and I talked, and I was like, this is why people have a whole team for that kind of thing. You wouldn't think any one thing takes that much time. But then it just did. So then I was like, oh. And then I was looking at analytics. Because I like data and I just think it's interesting more than anything else.
Yeah.
But then as I started to geek out about that kind of stuff, other things like, oh, we should post this thing to promote the show is something I actually did. I felt like I needed to do. Because none of this we have to do at all.
Nope.
But you want to do it well or whatever. So then it's like, oh, actually, I do have to do this. Oh, actually, this. Oh, before I do that, I would need to post that because that wouldn't make any sense. And then I just was on my phone too much. But that was me, a growing pains thing of me figuring stuff out. So, yeah, I don't think it's, all bad or anything like that. I think it's been really good. Yeah, I've had some funny comments as well. Some surprise listeners people that, that are in our lives that I thought, I would have not thought that you would have listened. That is so cool, and sending me inside jokes and stuff like that. So the overwhelming most of how I've been feeling is just gratitude and just encouragement. Really just encouragement. Yeah. People have been genuinely so nice. So
yes, I would absolutely agree with that as well. And it is cool because it's, like we said from the jump, the reason we started this was to spend time with each other. So
yeah.
my perspective has always been like, you don't have to. Don't do it if you don't want to. You don't have to listen. You know, like, we're just doing it for us, and which is nice because it takes the pressure off of, like, not performing because it's not a performance, but, you know, that. But yeah, it is cool and crazy to think, we don't usually have a conversation with that many people.
Right.
So
or they
cool.
know. Yeah. And then it's also funny too, because since I am the one that's like, producing feels like a generous term for what I'm doing, but editing and doing all that kind of stuff, like, I now have heard so many of us talking on repeat, because it's like different parts you have to kind of rework, or this didn't really make any sense here, or I had to cut this part out, so then that needs to be moved. So as I'm doing that, it's such a wild relationship to the show and even to each other, because, you know, sometimes I'll be, not today, but sometimes I'll be editing and then you and I record. So then I'm like, I just talked to you for like 2 hours in my brain.
Can you stop talking already?
Not even that, but just like, oh yeah, like I'm so like, hey, like really loosey-goosey because we've been so warmed up, and you're like, hello, no, I haven't talked to you in a week, and I'm like, oh yes, okay. It's just kind of funny. Single teacher who works too hard, and her best friend's got 4 kids in the yard. Yeah, the mama loves her curds away, and her best friend just loves Tanqueray. And oh, yeah, I'm not mad about it. And I'm not mad about it. So, last ep, as we all know, listeners, dear sweet listeners, we talked about food. We didn't say a single thing we liked. That's not true. I think I had mentioned beans.
Okay, sure.
Technically,
I talked about brownies, some baked goods. Yeah.
Yes. So technically, we mentioned, but that was, it wasn't like, oh, my favorite food is blah blah blah. It was just like, we accidentally on our food episode, we each barely mentioned a singular food that we liked, and I thought that was wild.
We had our best episode to date.
I mean, we'll have to.
I cannot wait for that one to come out, and I just think, wow, that was like authentic and real, and playful and deep, and all the stuff. And we did not actually talk about.
I haven't
or don't like.
Yes, and I haven't done the write-up for that one yet, but a part of me wants to be like, food part 1 obviously is the title, but then like just starting it off with, this is the darkest timeline. It's just kind of like, if people read the description, just gearing them up for like, yeah, it's a tough ep, all right, but it's not bad. Like, I love it. I'm here for it too. I think it's my favorite. I think there are moments from I think the food one overall, it was so authentic and great.
Yes,
I think we have moments in music and moments in TV that we just like go really hard and like feel deeply, that I also really appreciate. And this I felt like was just an episode of entirely that.
Totally, so, I agree.
You know? Yeah. So, but before we do anything further, welcome to the I'm Not Mad About It podcast. I'm Amy.
And I'm Amanda.
And we're not mad about it.
Oh,
I said it really fast that time.
You did.
To try to sneak it in. We're not mad about it. But, so today is food part 2. I guess the people want to hear what we actually eat, or what would be our dream meal. So I mentioned last time. Oh, were you able... Let me finish my first sentence, and then I know the answer based on your face. Last time I mentioned we could potentially, and by we could, I mean I really hope we do, because I have mine written out and I've been thinking about it for the past year, and that is follow the Off Menu podcast kind of motif or design, and go through your favorite ever starter, main course, side, drink, dessert, not in that order, and just kind of as like a baseline, like if you had to compile those things. But it's just because I love that podcast and it's huge. And then I sent you a couple episodes to like dip your toe if you wanted to. Amanda,
I did.
Oh, you listened to one of them? That's wild. Okay.
Well, okay.
Or parts.
So,
okay.
First of all, shout out to husband Shawn. This goes out to him. I actually am mad about it.
Okay, this is a really hot take.
Yes. So I did start one of the episodes you sent me, the Joe Thomas one.
Okay, it's insane.
Okay, so I listened to 30 minutes of it.
Okay.
and my brain was so stressed out, and they had yet to talk about food that I did just stop listening.
Okay, so you didn't listen to it. Like, to the craziest part. Because I think I told you that when Meanders,
you did?
I was like, hey, and I commented on the off menu on that episode and was like, hey, guys. Actually, it was way after because I'm very, very behind because I found out about it late. But I was like, I just listened to the Joe Thomas episode, and I have a rule for myself. I just go ahead and skip it if I'm not into it because you have a million episodes and I'm really far behind. I'm telling this to the void. I know that no one's really listening. But I said that, and then I was like, but then there's a part in the episode that is absolutely insane that I, by chance, I accidentally got to. That was one of the craziest things that's ever, and then people talk about it. So then others are commenting and liking it and going like, wasn't that crazy? And I was like, yes, it was, but you wouldn't have known. It's difficult to stick with it that long because, they meandered. And you'll never know.
No, I'll never know because here's my PSA, and it actually ties into what we're doing here.
Oh, great.
Twofold, actually. You and I are different.
Yes.
We are opposites. And I don't have to like everything that you like. Yes. Same for me. And sometimes, you immediately listen to music podcasts and you are like, it clicks with you on a cellular level and you are like, I am in it. Mm-hmm. And I feel that way about some things. And then there's some things where it's like, I can medium tolerate it. It's not my most favorite, or not every episode is fire, or, whatever. Yeah. And then there are some things where you just go, you know what, I'm a grown-up and I don't have to do this.
Great.
And I will say maybe part of it was environment, but I was listening to it while washing the dishes Sunday morning. And Sunday morning's chaotic because I don't do kitchen work on Saturday. We observe the 7th-day Sabbath, and I just came to realize that for me personally, I work in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe there's anything wrong with doing the dishes. Yes,
6 days you shall work. That's your literal job.
Literally, yes. And so I just discovered that for me to have an actual peaceful, enjoyable Sabbath in some areas, it requires just letting the dirty dishes. I organize them. I stack all the plates together and all. But like the kitchen is there are dishes waiting for me Sunday morning. That. So Sunday morning is reset, and everyone was inside because it was raining. So the kids were talking, and it's like there was a lot going on, and literally I just had to pull my earbuds out and just like step away because it just was too much for me.
Yeah, so that's great. I love that we don't love the same things. No, truly. Okay, so this reminds me. This weekend, a friend of ours, we're going to call him Line Dance Shawn, was in town for his birthday, and one of my best friends, Shawn's the one that invited me because he's really best friends with him. This friend is very into line dancing, and I know I'm in Nashville, so that's like kind of a thing. No, he knows literally I think every single line dance that went on, and there is a whole world of line dancing. Did you know this?
I did.
That is well beyond Camp Woodman from 2005. So that was news to me. And so I've been here once before, and it was just us. And that one time I was there, best friend Shawn kept yelling on repeat, "We're gonna live forever." So that was my one other association with this place. And so we go back there for his birthday, and the reason this made me think of it was that you were like, I listened to this podcast that one of my best friends in the universe suggested. Love that for her, but I don't like it. There were some, in addition to the main group, there were some youngs that were there. And they used phrases like, "Oh, are you a try-hard?" Have you heard about that? By the way?
No, my face said no for the listeners.
Okay, so basically, it is what it sounds. It's just as awful as it sounds. It's when young people say that if you try or care, then that's lame, right? So it's like, oh, you're being a try-hard if you got a good grade on something. It's one of my biggest young person fad icks.
A whole ep on words and phrases, and I try to guess what they are because I'm so far removed
that would be
that.
A really, really good app. And I have several that just came to my head from my fifth graders.
Yes, you're in it.
Yes, and I'll be like, "What are you talking about?" Or I'll repeat something, and they're like, "She just said blah blah," and I'm like, "Am I cursing?" Oh no, I'm not, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, and so what made me think of this was that when you were like, it's not for me, I turned it off. One sweet precious friend had just turned 21 and was there Which, again, the friend that were there for his birthday...
is not 21.
Is not 21.
A little bit older than 21.
A little older than 21. And so I thought, oh, that's such an interesting mix of people. And so then with that, you know, there's kind of this pressure to, like, first we were at dinner and then we went to the line dancing place. And, you know, these young guys, and they're like, oh, you have to drink, blah, blah, blah. Like, kind of was a bit of pressure kind of a thing. And I don't know if I just turned into, like... a camp counselor or a teacher, or just a mom. I know I felt like a bit of a mom of the group, and I just said, like, hey, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. So I was just like trying to like shake them almost. Yes, this is a boy, a young man, and I thought you can. I said one of the greatest gifts of being in my 30s is that I told him, I was like, and he's like, yes, ma'am. I was like, you know, you can be at dinner or something with friends and maybe you have like this much of a beer left. And obviously we don't in general want to be wasteful, but like you're allowed to just not finish it if you don't want to. Just walk away. Just walk away. And again, we don't want to indulge like not finishing things. But in that setting, I was just like, it's the best. If you don't want it, another person, you said something.
It's on your shoulders.
It does, but I want to tell you, so I'm like, I don't care. One of the youngins kept saying the phrase, again, I just don't know if this is appropriate to leave in or not, but she kept saying, shotties? Do you want a shotty? Do you want a shotty? Right? And I was like, oh, and I was like, so that can be cut.
I don't, well, it might have to stay because
okay, great.
I don't think I've ever heard a phrase that I've hated more than that.
Yes. Well, okay, and then I'm trying to be, and here's the thing, they are being very nice and very inclusive of this old, but here's the thing, I felt like I was an old, but I was actually right in the middle of our other friend, a best friend, Shawn. Like, they're older than I am, so I was just like, oh, okay, like, it was really an interesting evening all around.
Indeed. I think you keep a lot of that.
Great.
That's what the listeners are here
That's
for.
easier. That's right. It was just a really interesting time. But yeah, that's what made me think of it when you were like, oh, I listened to this podcast. It's just really not for me. And you having the strength, the inner strength, and knowing that I'm not going to be like, whatever else, like, it's a kind of a long commitment. They're a longer form podcast as well.
Which, I usually love, and I'll be honest, part of it too was like, oh great, this is just a hot take I can take to our podcast. You know? Yeah,
I think it's great. And I think that people need to know. The people need to know. If you're listening to this and you're like, she's been talking too long, just go listen to something.
Truly. I mean, and that it does go back to that though, because there are some where you're like, I hate their voice and I just can't. And like, that's cool. If you love us, that maybe don't hate our voice, but maybe we sound different.
That's true. And that's fine. Like, I'm also like,
spend time on what you want, and for me, it's
do whatever you want. Okay, so what you didn't hear. Food. Okay, and I know we have to get into food, but I just needed for you to know, because you're not going to listen to it, and for listeners at home, the Joe Thomas episode, what ends up happening is he ends up describing for his main course this entire, I think it's a lamb, that he buries and digs a big hole and puts the whole lamb in. But then it is revealed that he does it with his best friend's dad, who is actually his best friend. And it's just this long, like, half an hour story of how they buried an entire lamb. And then it goes through the whole story. And then they go and finally unbury it because it's supposed to be cooked because of this way that they learned how to cook it.
I have heard of this.
Sorry. Okay, yes. And then it just wasn't cooked at all. And he picked a different main. So the hosts are already like British and cynical and just already like, what? And so they are like, James Acaster famously like just gets really, really mad and starts to scream at people if they don't like dessert and different things. So they were laughing, but also just kind of mad, but kind of delighted. It's just one of the craziest episodes. I'm personally glad I stuck with it, but I also just, I like their whole vibe. Even the boring stuff I kind of like. So.
It felt that way. Like, I was like, yeah, this feels Amy brand. Feels on brand.
Yeah. So when we go through, if we want to do the dream menu situation, when we go through this, so that one of us isn't just talking forever, would it make sense to go kind of course by course back and forth, or do you think it needs to be all together? What do you think?
Yeah, we can go course by course. Yeah.
Okay. They always start with still or sparkling water. So I'll ask you, would you start with still or sparkling water? In addition to whatever drink you want, but that's how they start.
Still, we're in America. So
great.
That feels very unbright. I actually do like sparkling water, but not with a meal. I mean, like an afternoon, I'm feeling snacky, I will have a sparkling water instead to try to, just stay hydrated and feel like I'm having a treat.
Okay, great. Because I will go on record, I absolutely hate sparkling water. I think it's the worst possible thing. I am drinking kombucha right now, which is not
wondered what you
were
drinking on,
Yeah, not urine.
Nice.
It is, in fact, the color's not great for the video.
This slightly green glass.
Yeah. But,
what kind of kombucha?
It's very good. I think it's, I took a picture of it because I knew you'd ask me, and I'm going to send it to you so you know what it is. I think it's a pomegranate situation.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I buy a new one, I'm like, it's the Pink Lady Apple.
Oh, that's my favorite.
In it. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
I always think I'm not going to like it.
If I'm going to store bought, I do the Pink Lady. Okay. Although I've attempted, humble brag, I do make my own kombucha.
Yes, I want to know about this.
Well, on another ep, probably.
Yes, right.
But I tried with apple juice. I got 100% Honeycrisp apple juice.
Okay.
And it just was not the it didn't really do it, and it didn't fizz up the way I wanted it to. So then I just never went back to it. But
I bring that up because with sparkling water, I don't want to feel like I'm drinking a beer if I'm not drinking a beer or something. Like I just feels like I have to burp, which I hate that feeling, and I know that's not controversial. What is the word? I keep thinking of it.
Contradictory.
Thank you so much. Yesterday I wanted to say that word, and it's a very simple word. Couldn't think of it. Okay. I know it's contradictory, but I'm drinking this now, and so I might, in fact, have to burp during the pod. But
I always panic, and I do sometimes, and I'm like, ugh, keep it quiet, keep it in your throat, because it's very scary, because there's a mic in front of your face.
Well, I've learned I will hover over with my mouse, because I'm on my desktop computer, and I can hover over, and I mute myself if and when I need to, let out a burp. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to do still as well, because we're in America.
Lemon?
No.
Yeah, I'm not either, but husband Shawn is, so it's just thought I'd have to ask.
Or if I get a lemon, I'll just give it to my mom.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, same.
Great. Okay, so then they'll always ask bread or... Actually, so during you probably heard this, I guess, in the pod if you listen to 30 Minutes Worth. At a certain point, James Acaster, who's the genie waiter, will scream at the guest and say, poppadoms or bread. And it's really hard because in America, we're like, what are you talking about? And every American guest is like, what are you talking about? So it's like the thin thing that's in an Indian restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Not
naan,
No, but the thing before with the chutneys and stuff. Mm-hmm. That or bread. So if we're following the off menu, which of those would you prefer? Would you like a poppadom or a bread? And pretend like I yelled it at you and you were startled.
Of course, bread. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously
Times
bread.
1,000.
Great. Okay, great.
Homemade.
Your bread?
Yeah, obviously.
Great. I was going to say, so you're... Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good old grass-fed Kerrygold, Costco New Zealand brand, whatever it is. Butter.
Great. Okay. Is it salted butter?
Yeah,
I'm going to do... So, to match with my starter, which isn't a traditional starter, I'm going to go ahead and do garlic naan.
What? You just said... Okay. You can pick any bread.
You can pick any bread.
Okay.
It's a garlic naan is not a poppadom, but it is a bread.
You're
it's
correct.
in the bread
You're
family.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh,
again, I've thought about this for the last year that I've been a mega fan of off menu. So I've each part of my menu, but that's because it's going to support my starter, which is not even a real starter, but I just had to sneak it in as the only way to sneak this.
Okay, so before we go further, I was speaking over this with husband Shawn, and I actually wanted to break the paradigm altogether and say that my dream meal / from the dream restaurant is actually a dream buffet. Where I get
at a casino?
Something from each genre of food.
Okay.
But
that's great.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't like this. I don't like narrowing it down.
I know, because really you wouldn't typically get one main quote-unquote thing and then literally one side. Typically, to balance the whole meal, you'd have like...
Yeah. Or it just depends. It just depends.
I know.
Are we going to sushi? So anyways, he and I were discussing our dream buffet, and of each, you know, what we would have from American, from Japanese, from Chinese, from Indian, from Thai.
I like that.
Italian.
Right, and that's the thing. And so a lot of guests on that podcast, on Off Menu, are like, does it need to be a cohesive meal? Because that's a different answer than...
But it sounds like you're going cohesive. You're going on theme.
It sounds like it, but I'm about to not. I'm about to...
All right.
I'm about to change the path. But I like that it's like a weird, like... It forces it into a box, because I think it's an interesting conversation. But yeah, in reality, I want to hear about that buffet idea you got as well.
Okay, eventually. But I'm just going to pick, as we stick on this single item, I am not intertwined the way you are.
Great. Okay. And I might not be as intertwined as you. Actually, I'm pretty intertwined, except for one thing. Okay, so what would be your starter or appetizer, as we would say in the United States?
Now, is there a salad course as well?
Ooh.
No? Okay. Well, I'm going to go salad.
Not
this is what I was dreaming about.
Not on theirs, but that doesn't matter. Some people do a salad. But do you have a set appetizer that is different than a salad?
Yeah.
Then you can have both, because they don't, they're not here.
Okay. Oh. I just looked around. Okay.
If they were,
you mean
James and I would be laughing and connecting, and I don't know, we would like, well, you know, maybe we fall in love. Okay. So, you would do a salad.
I would do a hot and a salad. Okay. So
great. Go ahead.
Dream salad is the perfect Caesar salad.
Okay.
With homemade dressing, and it's creamy, and it sticks to the lettuce, and it has to have homemade croutons that are still slightly warm.
Okay.
You know, they're like extra large, and they're airy, and the crust is crunchy, but the inside is soft.
Okay. Great.
With fresh grated Parmesan. And I want my lettuce chopped really, you know, like, if you're going to make a Caesar salad, chop the lettuce properly.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. No, it's really not. Anyways. So, that would be my cold item on a chilled plate.
Okay, of course.
With a chilled fork, ideally.
You're going with the buffet, even though you're not, kind of. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I would only get the cold plate
I will
in the line.
I will take I'm not on the buffet idea as I continue on with this. I just
Great, okay.
Okay, so then that's my cold. My hot, crispy green beans.
Okay.
Which is like fried kind of, you know.
Okay.
With a great creamy dipping sauce. Maybe like a sriracha honey dipping sauce with like, you know, like a cream base.
We got any chilies on that? Like garlic chilies, anything like that in the pan?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah, even in the sauce. Yeah, okay. I can't resist a crispy green bean when I see it on a menu.
Okay, great. I feel that way about Brussels sprouts. I didn't pick that for my meal, but I feel similarly to that. Okay, those sound great. Okay, my starter is not really a starter, but I just want a smaller portion of this dish. Because I'm going in another cuisine direction for the main part of the meal. So for the starter, I'm just having full-on Indian saag, which is like the spinach type of curry, like with I want chicken. I know lamb and paneer and these different things are good, but I want chicken. And it's the Dream Restaurant, so I can guarantee there's no cinnamon. I don't even want cloves. I don't want anything reminding me of cinnamon.
No nutmeg.
Out. O-U-T. Yeah, and so that's going to pair nicely with, you can get like a tiny bit of rice on there.
I was going to say, is there rice?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to, because truly it's just to sneak in that Indian saag is one of my favorite foods just of all time, but I don't want that as my main. That's going to come. Sure. So I think like a little bit of rice on the side. It's just like a little baby portion.
Sure, like a tiny ramekin.
Exactly, a tiny little ramekin, like you would get in this little soup bowl, basically, but just a little guy that already has some rice in there. That's fine, with some good, like, big old pieces of garlic on the naan situation, so you can dip and eat. And really, that could be your whole meal, but it's a smaller portion, and you know the other things are coming. Honorable Munchin, something they do, which, yes, I roll. And my honorable Munchin would be, so the thing that I'm not picking, but I'm just saying it would be good, is there's this beef consomme, like just little, basically just a soup, but it's beef consomme, that I had at, spoiler alert, one day when we talk about our fanciest meal of all time.
Oh, sure.
In Barcelona, I had a 16-course meal at a Michelin star, multi-star restaurant. I still can't believe that happened. We didn't deserve to be there, but we were gifted this experience, and I can explain later. But in that, one of the little mini courses was like this little glass, basically not bowl, but you just kind of drank it. And it was just a beef consommé soup, basically. But it was the
broth,
richest, right? Basically broth, yeah.
It is, yeah.
But it was one of the most,
broth.
Yes, it was one of the richest, like, most delicious tasting thing ever.
Wow.
But that is so light that I'm like, we don't have 16 courses here.
Sure.
Again, somehow I had at this other place. So that's an honorable mention, but I'm going Indian for my starter.
Okay.
That so we're moving on to the main. So.
Main course.
Yeah. Which you can start to talk about your side if you want, or if you want to.
Yeah, I was going to say, my main course is probably actually just one giant side. You know how sometimes restaurants offer, like, you can, especially like steakhouses and stuff, which haters can hate, but I don't love / kind of don't even like steak.
Okay.
Just like as a general. I am coming around to it. I've had some good steak now, but even then I'm like, cool, 4 tiny, like, bites, like, you know, like cut 4 pieces off of, and I'm like, wash my hands, I'm satisfied. Now what I am here for is the baked potato.
Yes.
So, yeah, when we go all the time, not really, in the, you know, year spans that we've ever been to a nicer restaurant, I am sometimes like, oh, you know, you can just do 3 appetizers as your dinner or 3 sides as your dinner, and I'm like, that's speaking my language.
You know who really capitalized on that was Chili's.
And do I order that almost every time we go?
The triple dipper.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yes. Pause. Also,
it's so good. Okay.
Other episodes could be, what are we getting when we go to Chili's? What are we getting when we go to Taco Bell?
100%.
You know,
no,
is this
I know.
A food podcast series? No, but I'm just saying when we need
it
to
might
spice
be.
things up. Yeah, I know.
I don't know, because the more I thought about food, I was like, oh, there's this, oh, there's this. So we'll see how much time we have and what makes sense for us naturally.
I think we should splice them through when things are, you know,
when things are dull.
Yeah, we're like, let's do another food episode. Let's do Dream Taco Bell order.
Great.
You know.
Anyways, okay, so you're going to have 3 sides as your main?
Pretty much, yeah.
Great.
So I want the biggest baked potato, which, as an aside, for my birthday meal, often, you know, I'm in charge of it.
Sure.
I do a big baked potato.
Okay.
With, like, sauteed veggies and the cheese sauce that's really bad for you. Mm-hmm. And that is my meal. So. Great. Big baked potato, crispy, delicious, outside skin with, like, big chunks of salt.
Okay.
But anti-shout out to Texas Roadhouse, because I did find out that they cook their potatoes in lard. I know. I just learned this last year.
2 thumbs down. Oh, yeah. I think I did know that, because I think I was with church people and they were like, oh, did you know? And I was like, oh.
No, so I found out like a week after I bragged about how delicious my potato was at Texas Roadhouse.
It's weird that you didn't get sick.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes when it's stuff like that, normally it's like I can tell because my body's like, time to shut down.
Sure.
Like, okay.
Okay, so big baked potato, crispy, delicious outside, fat, coarse sea salt. And then probably, if I'm going dream, like an entire stick of butter, but to not, you know. Nice helping of butter, sour cream, and then, like some sauteed broccoli, maybe, would be delicious.
So not roasted, but sauteed.
I could go either way. Roasted is also good. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and really, I'm just here for the potato. You know,
do you want something cheesy? A cheesy element, like a really good, high quality mac and cheese, or no?
Sure.
Does that not tempt you as much?
Not as much. Yeah, the potato's really what's driving things, honestly. And then I know I already picked another salad, but truly, the salad at Texas Roadhouse, their side salad that has the egg and the cheese, their ranch is delicious.
Some places ranch is legit.
Legit. Now, I am on one side of the camp. I like a runny ranch. And I know some people do not.
Okay. The really good ranch I was thinking about is a runny ranch.
Oh, great. Whew,
from Riverview. One. Shout out to Riverview. It's a restaurant that's been there a long time in Ashland City, Tennessee, on the bluff. One of my grandparents' favorite places to go. Riverview had a their salad bar had a watery, what did you call it?
Runny, which is not a runny ranch. Word.
It's really not, but runny. Great, yeah. I like that it's an alliteration. A thin ranch.
But you're right, the alliteration is good.
Runny ranch is tough, but I don't. Somehow, I'm not mad about it.
You know what? Runny Ranch is actually the sequel to Possum Hollow.
It is. Yes, it is the sequel. This time it's personal. Okay. Okay, great.
Okay, salmon. That can be my main.
Great.
Crispy skinned, cooked in the skillet, crispy skinned salmon, flaky inside, but it was cooked in some good oil and gave it that crispy skin with like a ginger, soy, garlic sauce, glaze maybe.
Yeah.
I would be thrilled with that. I would go the hardest on the potato, though. I will be honest. The salmon, I would order out of obligation. Yeah, but the potato is what I'm here for.
Yeah. That's a really good one. Yeah, the runny ranch that's very funny to me. I'm writing these down because I think it'd be nice to read them later. So that's why I stopped breaking eye contact there. But man, okay. I also want to point out when you said potato, have I told you the story of legendary Sister Amber when she went to different wedding venues and had them kind of pitch things to her? I was not even there for this story, but Mom and my sister go to this wedding venue, and the lady there is trying to sell them on all this stuff, and she just said, and for your meal, you could just have a mashed potato bar.
Oh.
A mashed potato bar is what I said very quickly. And so now, and she's like, you don't even have to. And the way she said it was so like, and again, I wasn't even there, but we now as a family, they've been married for over 10 years. We now as a family just say, you could just have a mashed potato bar. And so anytime we're at a wedding or we think about weddings or we think about mashed potatoes or baked potatoes, we just say, you could have just had a mashed potato bar or a baked potato bar. So yeah, that's what I had to tell you there. Okay, I'm going to tell you my main, but I forgot something. So, favorite ever drink. I am one of the guests on Off Menu, should they be so lucky to have me or us.
Well, famous podcaster Amy Duncan.
Right, that's correct. I would have different drinks at different courses. You know what I mean? Okay. So I would have, I want my still water because we're American. I actually want it to be ice water. I didn't mention that.
Oh, yeah.
But also,
of course.
I'm starting with my, bread and starter and stuff. I want Naparol Spritz to begin. So I'm enjoying that as we're going. And then once I'm kind of done with that or whatever, and we go on to our main now, I will now slip into a Brunello, which is a really, really nice red wine from Tuscany. So I'm going to have that during my main. And it's going to match because my main, I would like a simple homemade spaghetti from
Italia.
Yeah, from Cortona specifically. So I want, actually, I know this particular restaurant it's La Grata. I want the spaghetti from La Grata. The peachy pasta is specifically what I want, which is a hand-rolled pasta. It's a little thicker with just a basic tomato sauce because it's so flavorful and so good and huge chunks of garlic. And then my side, I thought long and hard about this. If I'm allowed more than one side, which it seems like we are, then I'll do more than one.
There are no rules.
There's no rules. But I'm going to have a side of, which you heard about last step, cannellini beans from the region.
Sure.
I'm going to have that in the side. I think if we wanted to put some spinach in that would get a bit of green, which I would feel good about.
Sure, yeah, and I do like a good color.
Yeah, and then some roasted, I think just good roasted with, again, tons of garlic, rosemary, good olive oil. Everything is doused in good olive oil all around because it's just so good and superior. So that's going to be my main. And so in that sense too, steak, no. You know what I mean? My main I would want to be that peachy pasta is out of this world good. It doesn't
is it
have meat,
PT or is it peachy?
No, good question. PICI, I believe, or PICCI.
Oh, okay.
I might be spelling it wrong, but yeah, it's the hand rolled.
Okay.
It's just, it's so
not
good.
Peach.
It's not. Can you imagine how jarring that had to have been for the listener? I'm just like, what is she talking about?
It's the perfect segue for a story.
Absolutely. Amanda, take it away. Take us back to Grilled Cheese Town or whatever that was.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Amy came to visit me when I was still living in Cleveland.
Is it Pete?
So shout out to any Clevelanders. We were at Melt, which I
think is a chain.
Is it? No.
I think it might be, but I don't know.
No.
Okay, great.
I refuse to believe that.
Great. Okay.
I mean, maybe it is now. Okay. Yeah. Well, it started in Lakewood, Ohio. And, massive grilled cheese with, like, super creative is this whole thing. And the slices of bread are, like, 4 inches tall, and there's 2 of them. And then, anyways. So, Amy and we went out to dinner there. Yeah. And we were looking at the drink menu, and I ordered whatever. I don't even remember. But then there was an item on the menu. It was, like, maybe for a Bellini. And what would the peach have been the flavor for? Do you remember?
It would have had to have been a peach Bellini, basically.
Probably. But it was spelled.
And I was like 22, maybe.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. I was like, we were both like, she probably was over 21, but barely.
You had to order, yes, yeah.
Well, yes, obviously over 21 for the alcohol, but yes. Okay.
So it was spelled, and of course everything is cool. All right, so all the menus are on vinyl record sleeves, and you flip them over, and you know it's like tie dye and all this stuff. So it was spelled PEO, like OOOOACH, like it's just a bunch of.
I thought it was PEEE. I thought there were several E's.
Well, because we discussed it was.
Was
it Piat?
Okay. So no. Can I add it?
Yes,
can I throw it?
Yes.
Here's my memory is I read, and we already know how I'm doing great with the reading and spelling.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I know what I want. So the lady comes over and she's like, "What do you have?" And I'm making her to be a real Sharon and to be really sassy, but really
her reaction was after the fact checks out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Can I get the peach?" Yes. So I pointed to it, and like my finger went over the spot that made me think that, and she said, "1 piach," like coming
that's
up.
That's what it was. Yes.
And we both were like, "Ugh." Cursing much is how it felt. And it's not, but I still to this day am like, should we cut that out? And I'm like, no, Amy, that's not, you're not cursing.
Did not engage that like you tried or you were being fun or playful or anything.
And we, at the time, I didn't, that was never in the world of possibilities of how it could have been pronounced.
That's right. It was.
Yes.
That was the term.
Yeah.
What?
So we both went, like, what? And so, yeah, she was just not having any of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Which was lame because I was really cool then. I still had my bangs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to.
Oh, that is so good. Okay. Well done.
Okay, so those are our mains. Yeah.
Okay, yep. So mains, and we talked about sides in there as well already. Yeah. Really, we're on to drinks and what would be your dream drink? Would you have just one throughout, or
I would have had a different answer. But just a little over a month ago, my husband and I went on a very nice dinner date to the nicest restaurant we've ever been to.
Okay.
And shout out to my dad and his beautiful wife of less than 1 year. She's amazing. And they came down to visit and were like, you guys are going on a date night. Let us watch the kids. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And then they so lovingly like also handed us like an envelope with cash in it. And we're like, have a really nice night.
Whoa.
So just the most thoughtful, generous.
That's
like,
so
and
nice.
It was 100% driven by my new mom. The title is, we still haven't landed on a title.
Yeah.
But yeah, our new addition to the family was 100% driven by her because she is so generous and thoughtful. And so we went, and I spent a really long time researching where we were going to go because, like, I thought before we were going on our budget, which was going to limit our restaurants. Anyway, so we went to this amazing restaurant and it's on the water. We drove like, you know, it was like an hour and 10 minutes because it was like, I wanted the menu and the ambiance. So anyways.
Okay. Yeah.
Get the menu, and I order this cocktail, and it was called like Seafoam or something. And I don't want to be dramatic.
Okay.
But it literally changed my life. It was the best. It is the best thing, period, that I've gotten from a restaurant. Food, bevy, dessert, the best thing.
Okay.
So it came in like not a martini, but the like rounded. I'm making a shape with my hand, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Is that a champagne glass technically?
I guess maybe, yeah.
Because champagne in my brain is a flute, but it's not. Like an old school one is like more round.
You are correct. So yeah, old school champagne.
Like Great Gatsby.
Yes. So the rim was coated with toasted coconut. Okay. So before I would even bring it to my mouth, my nose experienced the coconut. Okay. And so I was already like pre-sipping coconut. So it had coconut rum, grapefruit juice.
Okay.
Coconut cream, lime juice, and a little bit of agave. And it was shooken up and served over ice with toasted coconut on the rim. And it sounds so simple, but if I see on the menu grapefruit, I'm often like, ooh, maybe I should get that. And then I also am that way with coconut. And I never would have thought to put the two together. Mm-hmm. And it was so perfectly creamy, but not sweet. Because the lime. So anyways, when we left, the bartenders gave me the recipe with ounces and everything. Like, it was the nicest thing because I didn't interact with the bartenders, but we ended up staying, like, we were one of the last we kind of stayed late.
Yay. And I love that. That you really soaked it all up, too. That's so great. Yeah.
And they were there, and I'm like, I don't know which one of you, because it was, like, an outdoor situation, so it was very clear, like, where our drink came from. And I was like, I'm not sure which one of you made my whatever it was called. And I was like, it was the most amazing thing I had all night long. And they were like, oh, thank you so much. And I was like, truly, and I even told our server, I regretted ordering an entree because had I known, I just would have had a second beverage for my entree. It was so good.
Wow.
And they were like, do you want the recipe? And I was like, yes. So I got my phone out, and he brought the recipe card out and read it out ounce for ounce. And so it's crazy because it has 1 ounce of lime juice. Like a lot of lime juice.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And 1 ounce of grapefruit juice. So it has two shots.
Oh, well, that makes sense why it's not super sweet then.
Yes.
I kind of thought, I wonder if it's a sweeter.
Because it sounds like, oh.
Not
like,
pina colada, but like that kind of like.
Yeah, it's like, oh, how could you drink on that all night? But no, it was so perfectly creamy, but not overly sweet. And the grapefruit flavor was there, but it was tamed down and paired so nicely with the lime. And I literally nursed it till the absolute end. And I really, was like, oh, I shouldn't have ordered that entree. I just would have gotten a second one of these had I known they were so delicious.
Do you want to sub your entree for a second one of those? Because this is the dream restaurant. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, I would like my baked potato. And a baked potato and a cocktail sounds, and 2 salads. Oh, we had the best wedge salad. Like, I never order wedge salads because they have bacon on them. But we went with the wedge. Husband Shawn got a Caesar. And I got the wedge, and it was so good. I mean, I can go on that whole experience, and I will save it for when we do finest experience. But the cocktail. So I think it's called Seafoam or something. We've made it at home. It's delicious. We can make it together.
I was going to say. Forever.
Be together.
I'm doing High School Musical.
Oh, okay.
Okay, listeners, we are going on a little vacay really soon.
I know, we need to talk about it off air.
Oh, off air, I'm like, wait, when are we leaving? I looked at my calendar today and went no, that's not then. Yeah, it's coming up real quick. So maybe we'll have some of these dream things there. Maybe I make you some beans, you know what I mean? The sky's the limit, all right?
Yeah.
It could happen.
So we're having red wine.
Yes, I had it Brunello, and Brunello tastes like, to say that something tastes like butter and to be for that sounds weird, but this particular red wine is as rich and wonderful as butter somehow, this Brunello.
Whoa.
It's
Can you
wonderful.
find it anywhere but in Italy?
No. Actually, it's specific to that region, I believe. I think it has to be. I think Brunello has to be. And it's a pretty penny as well. So that's why I'm like a dream menu.
Sure.
It's the best. So I have one bottle of Brunello that I bought in Italy last time I was there that I still have. But I'm like, I want to drink it with guests or with friends. You know, I don't want to drink that by myself. So I want to open it.
Themed night or something.
Yeah, exactly. Italian night. And so, of course. Okay, so I guess we're on to... Dessert then, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
You go first.
Okay. So my dessert, I'm deviating from Italian because though Italian desserts are good, I'm not a big sweets person, as you know, but I still am gonna order a dessert because I do like dessert fine, and the ones that are good, I'm like, okay, you know. My favorite dessert, I'm basic, I don't care. It's just a really good, simple creme brulee. That's what I want. It's really simple. Obviously, it's not super, super sweet. But I like the sensation.
The experience.
I like the experience. I like the novelty of breaking the caramelized little top. I like that it's weirdly a cold custard. I like it. Every little aspect of it, I feel so grown up, and it's just so wonderful. So I'm gonna do a creme brulee, and then after dessert, I'm having one more drink, and I am going to finish with grappa, which is a digestive or like an after dinner drink. And the kind that I like is more like silver. You know how tequila can be like gold or silver. So grappa can be that way too. It's grappa like grape. So it's made from grape skins. It's this like really particular Italian. It's not a liqueur. It's like it's kind of in the brandy family, but it's called grappa. So I want some clear grappa at the very end of the meal. It's supposed to help with digestion, but really, I don't know if that's true. But I always feel good when I drink it, so
sure.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna officially close with the digestive for after dinner. So that's mine. What about you for dessert?
You're so cultured.
Well, I am extremely blessed to have been able to travel to these places, and if I sound like eye roll when I talk about it, which you wouldn't do that to me, but it's just I'm just as shocked as anybody that I've done any of these things, and so I'm like I'm so excited about it and can't wait to share it. So I'm like, you know what?
No, yeah. I loved it. I loved being educated.
It was I'm a big fan. A big fan of grappa. Now grappa you really can't find around here, and that's very sad. But I really like it. Oh, I have a grappa story for you later, but I want to hear your dessert.
Okay. I would go anything cheesecake, but specifically a woman in our congregation, a friend of ours, mom.
Okay.
She makes the most delicious cheesecake, and I have yet to have one where she doesn't just knock it out of the park. So anything she would put her hand to, specifically she made a Black Forest, which I didn't think I would love as much as I did, but it was like
explain a Black Forest
sauce. So it was a chocolate
for the listener.
It was a chocolate base crust.
Okay.
And then a regular cheesecake base, but it also had like cherries throughout, and then it had a homemade Bordeaux style cherry sauce over it. And with like chocolate shaving, like it just was so good. She's made a lemon curd one that's insane. She's made like a homemade like anything she touches. Yeah. And like the cheesecake is like so tall. Like you're not getting thin. It's like she, they're a mile high, and it's so good. So anytime I see cheesecake ever, just like across the board, I'm always like, ooh, cheesecake.
Do you remember when we went to the Cheesecake Factory together? Oh, do you recall that?
No? Remind me.
Didn't we go there once? Like, didn't I visit you and we went to the Cheesecake Factory and we got just cheesecake?
You're right.
Because I've only been to so we have one in Nashville, but that's kind of far from where I actually live.
Yeah, I'm like, I have gone to cheesecake a lot with like friends, because that's what you did when you were
Avon.
Like, yeah, it is.
I think it was when I visited you, like
probably.
Yeah,
because I was gonna say that was like an event. There was an outdoor shopping mall, so you could go.
That's what it was.
Like, you want to be fancy and dress up with your girlfriends and take pictures with your digital camera.
Absolutely.
You went to the Cheesecake Factory, so I was like,
people make fun of the decor of the Cheesecake Factory now, which I find shocking because I love the decor of the Cheesecake Factory. Yeah. And I'm like, do I not understand good decor? Because I'm like, I think it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great choice, though. The Black Forest. So that reminds me, it's not the same, but stay with me, but Outback Steakhouse used to have the chocolate tower, I believe it was called. Oh. And it had multiple different types of chocolate cake, like in a multi-layered, very tall situation. And
so that you share.
Well, probably you're supposed to. But, and again, I'm not even really a sweets person, but just that, and then it came with a little raspberry like sauce kind of thing. And so the like tartness of the raspberry, I mean, I couldn't have described this to you, 15 years ago when I had this, and I really enjoyed it because I don't think they have it anymore. But I think that's what it was. It was that combination of like intense raspberry with the deep chocolate. It was so good. So that's what reminds me of that. I'm sticking with creme brulee, but a close second would be the Outback Steakhouse chocolate tower.
15 years ago.
That's right. Yeah. We used to have this joke when people would visit Nashville, where we didn't do any Nashville things unless someone came into town. And so one of our jokes was that every time, we only did this one time, but we said every time someone visits, we bring them to the Outback Steakhouse in Nashville, which is not specific to Nashville. Yeah. And we go to the Parthenon. And at that Outback, actually, is where we made up a game. And this game is legendary in my local Nashville friend group. And that is, we called the game Pass It Under the Table. Have I told you about this?
No.
Okay, great. So it's when you're a teen, you got to go back and you have to be a teenager in your brain because the game doesn't work otherwise.
Sure, okay.
You pick up something from the table, and then everyone closes their eyes. And under the table, you pass it to the person next to you, and they have to try to guess what it is, like the food or object or whatever. And one time, one of the best friend Shawn's, not the one I just hung out with, so the other one was newly married with a little one, that best friend Shawn, I believe. No, it was other best friend Shawn. Sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he passed me just an oil and vinegar salad, just a handful of salad. And I was like, and he's still, we still talk about that. But guys, play with your friends. It's super fun. It's called Pass It Under the Table. And,
see, when you were talking, I was like, oh, it'd be hilarious to just, pass a slab of, butter.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, because there was no rules with that, but we were just like, so.
I like
anyway. That's great. Now, are you going to have any, espresso at the end?
Well,
or are you going to have any kind of, coffee or a latte or something?
A coffee. Ooh, an espresso martini. Yep, there we go.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that's a really good closer as well.
I would like a latte or a cappuccino, but since I'm having cheesecake, it's pretty dairy heavy, but espresso martini would really polish me off, and then I probably would, not get up from the table. Have you had an espresso martini lately? Those things are sneaky.
I feel like it's been at a recent feast, so it's been a bit,
Yeah,
they're
one,
for real.
And you're like,
oh, hello.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that grappa story. Again, prepare to roll your eyes, guys. I haven't got into travel stuff much.
Because we're a travel podcast.
We are a travel podcast. We say that I'm going to talk about it a lot. I feel like I haven't that much, but this ep, we're going to start to get to where these stories are going to probably be more frequent. But one time I was in Florence and I'm at a restaurant sitting in a little piazza situation, and our waiter, he just never came back. And we joke, it's like one of Nate's new specials. He talks about, where did you go? When I heard Nate talk about that in his special, I was like, yes, we had this experience too. We never saw him again. He never came back. But we'd already kind of ordered the things that we wanted, but I wanted grappa because I just learned what that was. And I really liked it. And so I got up physically and went around. They had a couple different bars in this one big restaurant. So I walk around to it, and I'm met with a very handsome Italian bartender, and I'm like, ciao, blah, 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 I'm trying to whatever, and I say, can I get grappa? And I'm motioning for that I want a little drink, and he's like, oh, grappa, blah, blah, blah. And then there's this couple that's sitting over to the side, and they were Australian because they had super thick Australian accents. And this is the only thing that I know about grappa and how it makes me feel cool, because this random stranger was like, grappa, you're hardcore. And I was like, so then the bartender guy just pours me grappa, and I'm like, okay, like, how much is it? You know, again, I'm like flailing my arms, whatever. And I think I was wearing my new coat that I got at the H&M in Florence, so I felt really cool. And so I was wearing that, and so he gave it to me, and I was like, how much? And he was like, oh, what did he say? He was like, for you, or something. He like flirted or whatever and gave it to me for free. Which again, I was like, so then instead of being cool, I was like, oh. So then it was right after this woman was like, she's hardcore. And I went, oh, wow. And so I think they were just like, Amy's big day out, you know. Yeah. So then I leave there and I go to our table and I'm like, everyone stop talking. Guess what just happened to me? So I was so excited to share. But yeah, but my point in that is that I felt really cool and I felt very special. But also, if you go and you ever try grappa, most people hate it. So it's kind of interesting. Great. Yeah, like most people everyone at the feast, like, aside from a few. Yeah. But yeah, everybody, I don't think there's a reason you would mix it. Or like, I haven't heard of anyone doing that, but I have no idea. But yeah, anyway, I think it's really good. But people don't like it.
Well, they can come at you.
They can. Come at me in the comments. Are you someone, just side note, are there any flavors or things, what don't you like food-wise? Where you're like, I just can't get behind a certain flavor profile or anything like that. Not to be negative, because we're not mad about it, guys.
Right.
But I also feel like...
I used to say mushrooms, but I really, in the last few months, have started to change my tune. Now, they have to be crispy, sautéed to death, roasted to death on a pizza, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Because the squishiness against my teeth makes my body cringe, and that is my problem with mushrooms. But it turns out, I'm like, the flavor is actually pretty yummy.
It's a texture thing. Okay.
It is. Oh, totally. Like, it hits my molars, and I literally feel like my teeth bounce back. Like, they don't chew through the mushroom. They just, like, trampoline back up, and I hate it.
Okay.
Anything artificial banana, artificial watermelon, artificial grape. Like, I hate all of those, and I will you will never find me ordering anything that would have those.
Man, artificial bananas tough. Ugh. That one is never, because real bananas I really, really like bananas. Yeah. I don't like, do you like licorice? Or is it anise? Anna something?
Yeah, anise. No. Yeah, anise, no.
Ooh. I don't either. I really don't care for that. We were in this, like, Greek restaurant or something. It was in...
I was trying to think, where would you encounter...
Yeah, we were in... I think it was somewhere in England, but the owner guy came out and talked to us, like, to my family. It was very sweet, and he's like, oh, here, try this. And it was another, like, digestive, basically, so it was like an after dinner thing. But for their cuisine and their, like... culture and stuff. It looked almost milky looking, which sounds gross, and it really was. And it tasted, it had that kind of like licorice aftertaste kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like a really pungent taste plus that. And so I had the tiniest sip, and I'm like, Dad, you're going to have to, like, because they were being so nice. It was on the house kind of a thing, you know, for after the meal that we just had. But I was like, you're going to have to down this. I can't do it. So anything licorice is an absolute no-go for me. I don't like banana peppers.
I don't either.
I really don't care for them. Even bell peppers don't do a whole lot for me. I like poblano peppers because I feel like, for whatever reason, I guess standalone, I don't really know what they taste like, but I always cook them in Mexican dishes, and I really, really like poblano. I love mushrooms. Actually, I like mushrooms more than most meats. I'm a big mushroom girly. You wouldn't know that from my menu that I just gave you, but... I really love mushrooms, but yeah, those are some of my main ones. Obviously, cinnamon, you know, I can't have it. So anything in the, like, fall, pumpkin spice, basic white girl stuff, I can't imbibe, you know.
Off limits.
Very sad.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm not a huge olive person. I like, you know, olive oil, but if it has olives or if it's like an olive chutney or whatever, I'm always like, yep, that tastes like olives. They're just not my favorite.
Oh, this is kind of weird. I don't love barbecue.
Barbecue sauce. Okay.
Like barbecue sauce, so like a barbecue chicken or something. I think it's that combination of there are spices in there that sort of remind me of cinnamon a bit, so I'm a little on edge.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it's typically more of a sweet glaze that it's doing, which, you know, when you balance that with different sides and stuff can be really nice, but I don't...
It's not your favorite. You don't go crazy for it. Yeah.
No. I'm okay with, like, chicken teriyaki and stuff like that on the sweeter side, but I typically don't. I typically want there to be, like, a bit of spice or something versus the sweet. If it's sweet, I have to, like, cut it with a bunch of different other sides or something, but... All right. Well, I know, fanciest meals we can get to probably in another episode. Yeah. We've talked about...
I know, we haven't even talked about things we cook and things we make, which literally is its whole own... Because I also think it would be fun to talk about, like, kitchen fails, if we can remember any, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we're going to keep this podcast going for the next, 10 years or whatever.
Like a million years, I think.
Yeah. Topics on topics on topics.
Part 2 of food.
I think we stayed on topic, dare we
say. I think so, too. That's crazy. That's why we're so under budget right now in our time.
Do you want to talk about what you're doing for your dad for Father's Day? And it'll come out 2 months from now?
We can. I have no plan right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and create a plan. And
Step 1, create a plan.
Step 1, exactly. A pro-con list. Pro, he would like something to be, this Father's Day, it's gonna be weird, obviously, because Grandpa.
Sure.
So, yeah, I imagine we will help Dad finish parts of, I hope, his deck that they're working on. So they're really extending their deck completely all out, and like they're going to do a screened in whole big. It's a huge project we're working on right now. So by
cool.
we is a loose term. I've helped about 0.0001% with it, but brother-in-law Shawn has been the different ones have been popping over and helping with that. So I imagine we'll probably do something with that. And then Dad loves to grill, so I'm sure he'll be grilling for lots of people. Mm-hmm. On his day, he'll be serving all of us.
Yep.
Yeah. What are your plans for husband Shawn? For your own dad?
My own dad, create a plan. They get to that point. It's tricky when you live far away. And like with my dad, he is 77 and retired and living his best life. Mm-hmm. So anything he needs or wants,
he's a newlywed.
He can get, like, it's like not like, oh, Dad needs a new tie or Dad needs a new, it's like, no, Dad lives in his house, with his wife and his dogs, and he's so happy, and he can get whatever he wants.
I know.
So, I probably should have already put a card in the mail, but thankfully it's still only Monday, so that actually needs to go on tomorrow's to-do list. So just a yield FaceTime with my dad, but at this point, it's kind of like, unless you can really think of something where you're like, oh, Dad would love that, it's like, a chintzy gift is just kind of like, meh,
Yeah.
So more so like a card with some really nice words is probably what I'll do for my dad. And then, husband Shawn, once again, is kind of tricky because, we're a single income family.
Right.
So
and he's like, the one that brings in that income.
So it's that tricky thing of like, hey, what do you want me to get you with your money?
Right.
So we're recently into pickleball, and right now we're just using a netted like laundry bag to keep everything.
Whoa. Okay.
So got him a pickleball backpack like sling thing for his rackets to go into, and then he doesn't have a lot of like athletic wear t-shirts that aren't just like totally t-shirts that have been worked in and destroyed and covered in car grease with 1,000 holes from welding. So just today I got him 2 like athleisure t-shirts from Costco. Because that's the other thing, you have to be able to get it, because even if you look up stuff on your Amazon app, it'll be like, hey, do you want to keep looking at whatever it is? So like you can't even buy your spouse something on Amazon secretly, so everything has to be done in person if I really want to try to keep it on the down low. So we got him the backpack with the shirts for pickleball.
Okay, and perfect.
Our Costco here in South Carolina has a liquor store.
Great.
And so there was a 3-pack of Whistle Pig bourbon with a rye, a maple, and one other I think just like their single barrel, whatever. So I was like, that's perfect. So I shoved it in the backpack, and that is his gift. And I will make him a very nice card with words, and my children will make him colorings that we will call a card. And then, I will bring him a coffee, a latte in bed, and we will present him with his stuff. And then it'll probably be just like a normal, like we'll spend the day together as a family, but it'll be kind of dependent on what he wants to do. But that's usually like our model for birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day is like the opposing person gets to stay in bed and they get brought a coffee with some cards and a parade by the kids. And then we as a group decide,
Aside from the in bed part, I feel like that was similar to our upbringing, like with my parents. Mm-hmm. I don't know that they particularly, I don't recall like a breakfast in bed or coffee in bed or something like that. But yeah, we'd always just like, the kids would get together, know like the day before and be like, like, what are we going to do? And, so we're all spazzing, quick. And so I remember the most iconic, either Father's Day or birthday or something for Dad. My little brother Shawn, he was smaller, and we had wrapped up these, so it's a secret, wrapped up these like tools for Dad, and like for, his? No, I think they were new somehow. Okay, I don't know how we worked that out, but they were wrapped, so you couldn't see what it was, and so we were like, little brother Shawn, we were like, you go give it to him, and he said, here's your screwdrivers, and we were all like, all the rest of the sibling, he's the youngest, so we were all like, come on, you told him what it was, kind of a thing. So then now, literally, anytime any of us get a gift for another sibling, for grandparent, for whoever, if we're giving a gift, we say he has your screwdrivers to the person getting the gift. So
naturally, it's the only way it goes.
So precious, yeah.
We bought this backpack a couple weeks ago, and I just keep waiting. Because also it would be my third, our youngest, our middle, but the youngest of the talking children.
Yeah.
To spoil it. And then today I didn't even say the shirts and the alcohol were part of Dad's father's gift because they can't do it. They can't do it.
No, they cannot hold that in. My dad always says he always has cash on him, and he always goes out and he gets cash. And then his joke is always he'll lean in and he'll say so Ange can't track me. And I'm like, all right. So, because otherwise, if he went out for lunch or something and he came home back in the day, then Mom would be in jest, jokingly, but would be like, how was your burrito at blah, blah, blah? And he'd be like, oh, you're always watching me, that kind of thing. So,
I love that.
So, Ange can't track me is pretty solid.
Can't wait till we interview your dad.
Yeah. Speaking of, little brother Shawn was like, when am I coming on the podcast? And I'm like, has he listened to an episode yet, you might ask? No. And so I'm like,
never times 7.
Never, yeah. Exactly. I'm like, an L7, a square. Yeah, so
it is
anyway.
Interesting because I've actually heard a few of that too, and it's like,
I've had several people say, when am I going to be a guest?
Sure, and it's like, we're not an interview form podcast. I'm not against bringing people in, and there are people we've talked about before, even recording our first ep.
Absolutely.
That we felt like we wanted on. But it isn't
Justin Timberlake.
Well, of course.
JT has an open invite. I think James Acaster does too, but
sure, I would.
You don't care for him as much.
It would be fine though. I would be present. I would enjoy it for you. I would enjoy watching your face. And,
to have an actual celebrity, famous British comedian on, that'd be great.
Yeah. But no, it's just an interesting premise because it's like that's not a.
Yeah, we're not really an interview show. We can be.
We can be. We can.
Yeah. If you have suggestions that aren't yourself for the pod, let us know. But if it's just a personal plug, that's a little weird, but
we might still have you on.
But also, if you pitch it well enough, I guess. Yeah. Okay, Amanda, do you have anything to plug? Anything you're enjoying consuming?
Ask me that.
I know. It doesn't have to be premeditated. It's just.
Well, what am I consuming right now? I'm still in my birth doula training, so I'm currently reading.
Great.
Your Partner in Birth, which is a book. which is great. Actually, it was written in the 1980s, and it has a whole thing about, like, as a birth support partner, you need to be accessible at all times. So consider even renting a pager. Go to the yellow pages and look up beeper rental. And it was like, yes, that's what great. I need to do. So that was a really great relic.
I like that. Yeah. That's on the Office Ladies pod, the old tech alert, you know. Do you say that kind of stuff? Do you say, like, phrases from, like, these rewatch podcasts that we watch? Because I do that a lot. Like, when I'm watching a TV show, if it's a new set that I haven't seen, I'll say new set alert to no one. And then it's like, what? Like, I'm not in the business. I just listen to so many of these that I think of that. And one of the things they say is old tech alert.
Old tech alert. Okay.
Yes.
You know, I listened to the Office Ladies there for a while, but I didn't stick with them.
I didn't either. I gotta go back.
Yeah.
As you know, the Pod Meets World is still going strong. They're doing
so
great.
What are you plugging?
I'm gonna plug. You know, I haven't read it yet. I just started it, but the newest Hunger Games, I'm really excited about. This is Hey Mitch's backstory. If you know anything about Hunger Games,
I do, but I didn't realize there was.
Yep.
New,
Suzanne Collins is just going for it, so we got a new prequel. The last one was the Songbird and Snake one that was about President Snow. Yes, I devoured that one, and then I really enjoyed the movie that they made about it. But then this is the next one.
Okay,
Hey Mitch.
Cool.
So I'm reading it now. I can't tell you if it's good yet, but the little bit that I've read so far is very good.
And it's what you're doing.
That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to read, guys. And as you know,
it's summertime.
Tricky, yeah. Nice little summer read. Kick back. Cool. Well, Amanda, I'm so glad we actually talked about food this time on Food Part 2.
Yeah, we did it. What if it was like Food Part 3? No, really, food.
Seriously, this time we're talking about it. Yeah, that'd be great.
It would be.
Oh. All right, well, I love you.
I love you. Bye.
The I'm Not Mad About It podcast was written and produced entirely by Amy and Amanda. Our sponsorship is completely vacant at the moment, but if you know anyone that loves a good hang, a good time, and a podcast about friendship, let us know. Thank you, dear sweet listeners. See you next time.